Hello, man. Hello, Mgtows. It's a cold night here, and there was no Mgtow going on, so I just figured, well, what the hell?
Hello, man. Hello, Beggars.
That's me.
Cold night here.
That was a good sound check. Somehow my sound is much better now after getting a graphics card, but I don't know why. I don't know why. Well, it's a cold Mgtow night here in Ohio. Seems like it's about 20 some. The weather channel keeps telling me it's 33 or 34, but I don't believe them. It just seems much colder. Even Dougie doesn't want to be outside tonight, but that's okay. That's okay. I'd rather have Dougie in. It makes me feel uncomfortable when he stays out in the cold and everything. So I was just kind of jabbering on a little bit before see if it's see if somebody comes in or not, or what's going to happen here. I have noticed a down trend in the Mgtow chats lately, and it starts asking. I have to start asking a little question: what are we? Is Mgtow slipping away? Uh, uh, is it just that boring now? Is it just that boring, or is there just too much going on now? I don't know. I'm sort of out of touch with the modern day world and what goes on out there and everything. But one of the things I was thinking about today was the ability to of men to to not tell the truth to themselves. The beggars come around, and we see them, the PUAs and the simps and the beggars and the white knights and the the split V people, and they're all on the side of well, they've come up with a red pill philosophy, and the red pill philosophy is what they're really saying is the red pill philosophy is their truth. The red pill philosophy is the truth about the dynamic nature between men and women, and they've got this gender dynamics all figured out, and it usually ends up with their ability to to tell themselves all kinds of lies. And we do look back at some preachers and some characters in my past and everything, and there's been a lot of it. There used to be a guy around the corner. Well, he was a very Jim Jones was from around this area, and he had churches everywhere. He had this big mega church, and they called it the mega church. And me and my friend laugh about this all the time. And Jim would go and recruit the younger men, and he was always looking for men between 15 and 17, and that turned out to be a very horrible church and everything. But one of the early lessons in my life, watching a good friend, go through this proselytion into this cultish like church was. That the men that do these things, they always have the truth. They always have their truth, and their truth and their God always believes, seems to always agree with what they're saying, and what they really want is to get laid. And that's what we see around here. These men come around, and they make these videos, and they've got these truths, these PUA truths and these incel truths, and Steve Hoka thinks he's got the TFL truth, and the red pillars think they have the red pill truth, and the MRA thinks they have the MRA truth, and us monks, we sit back and we know what it is, because I'm not mad at them, but the thing is, I'm used to hearing it. I'm used to hearing every single lie a man has about why he wants to do some stuff with that down there. I'm sick of hearing the reasons why he wants to get laid. A long time ago, I took on the monk, and I stopped lying to myself, and it was a cathartic feeling. Uh, At first it was for what I considered my mental health. It just became too much of I was just searching and always searching for that Nawalt, we say, that special angel. And it was one woman after another, this color and this creed and this orientation, this color, and I'm white, black, Chinese. And I said, well, I got to get it's probably a Mexican or a Puerto Rican one. And I went through that whole span for in my late 30s and 40s for a long time, and then one day I woke up and just said, is it just because you want to get laid? And I came to a truth, a Mgtow truth, that monk truth with myself. And then I stopped doing these things because it became easier to work on myself and live with the truth than to live all these lies. And as the lies started untangling, and the reason I would do this, the reason I would go to the bar, the reason I would do a lot of things in life, the reason I dressed the way I did, the reason I was inspired by making money, and the reason why I drove a certain type of car, the reason why I always worried about things was because, well, my truth, my red pill truth at that time was that I just wanted to get laid. And that was it. And once you come to grips with that truth as a man, I know that's a hard one too, because you can look around the Mgtowish sphere, the manosphere, the manospiel. They all got a spiel. They all got their red pill truth. But when they land on that last thing, or they jump over that segment, well, I'm just doing this to get laid. I got a truth. It's like that preacher. I always go back into my mind about that preacher. That's all he really wanted, and that's all that Jimmy Jones wanted. That's all that that most of them want. We see these things untangle. Sometimes I watch that Baker guy on TV, and then I was gonna think, well, yeah, look, he got out of he replaced Tammy in a heartbeat with the new Lori, and she's like, wow, Jimmy, you're so awesome. And all he really wants to do is get laid. I mean, he comes up with these wacky stories about he wants to be taken care of, he wants to be pampered, he wants to be laid, he wants a mommy, and all those things. And that's most men in this world. And I never go over that anymore in my head when I see a PUA come around and he starts spieling out these red pill truths that he's well developed in his mind, and the rhetorics that go along with it. And some of them are creative rhetorics. I got to tell you guys, it's really creative rhetorics to develop this idea where everything goes back to that, and everything you do goes back to that. The clothes you wear, from the things you say, and I think the world notices it with the Mgtow monks and some of us, because and that's what they call misogyny. That's what they call because we don't beat around the bush anymore. We don't do those things. We just come right out with the truth. I'm not doing that no more. I'm not playing your game. I'm not playing the slave game. The whole world's figured out the slave game. Every one of those business people, every diamond salesman, every Orange Julius salesman wants to sell two instead of one. There's just millions and millions of products, and there's love, and there's church built on that, and there's religious list built on that, and there's dating coaching, and there's mental health issues built on all that. And that's a big, that's probably a couple $1 trillion industry for America, that America tapped in that in divorce court. And we're supposed to overlook that. We're supposed to overlook that. Probably 95% of the men out there. And I've got a lot of blue pill friends, and I always say, there's no difference between half the Mgtows I see around here and my blue pill friends. Every Friday night they're going out, they're trying to get laid. They got some special spiel, some kind of line, some kind of patented lie that they're telling themselves, and they're just beggars. They're just beggars. They're all beggars out there begging for that because that's what they really want. But they got some, this is going to make me whole. she's going to make me whole. I'll find that in the Walt. I'm going to have that picket fence and the nice house and the 2.2 kids, and she's going to be wearing an apron, and there's be cherry pies and fresh baked, and and that's a lot of garbage. I see the whole workup on what they expect from women, and as a Mgtow monk, you learn not to expect anything out of anybody, and one of the truths around here is no expectation, there'll be no disappointment. That's a truth that I live by in the red pill world. I don't put no expectation on anybody, especially a woman or a man, because no expectation, no disappointment at the end. It's like, yeah, I'm fine. Whatever you want, do it. Don't involve me in it. That's it. That's my attitude in life, because I've seen it way too many times in my life, and I was also beat up at the end of that thing, also beat up, telling myself those lies, and then I just sat there, and I don't know where I was, in my beat up old van on the side of the road or something, and just broke down, beat up, and I stopped telling myself those lies. And hence the Mgtow started coming out them by years and years and years ago. God, my God, I can't even fathom how many years ago that was. But back then, there was just, the MRA, and we were just fresh start. It was a fresh start, this thing called Mgtow. And I just became this sort of monk guy that stayed away from the women I didn't want. I felt celibacy was worth more than it was worth more the way I felt, the good things I was feeling about myself, than anything that anybody's ever given me in my life before myself. Before that, and that was okay with me, because I got comfortable with anything. But I look around here sometimes, and I see man, you just step back and you look away, and you get on the Mgtow bench, and just little bit of popcorn, a little bit of coffee, and you start laughing at some of these idiotic things men come up with. The women got to be subservient, get back in their place. There's going to be a zombie apocalypse. No, that's not going to happen. Yeah, the subservient women, that's a thing of the past, and I don't think that never really existed. You ever ask a girl not to do something? I asked this question a little while ago. You ever ask a woman not to do something? Don't you tell her you got to be monogamous. You can't be screwing around if we're going to be in this marriage. Every time I've ever asked a woman not to do something, you know what she did? You guys know it. She did whatever I told her. Whatever your worst nightmares are, whatever that is, whatever your fears are, you will project those things, and she will do them, because that's what they are. They will do whatever you want, and that's what I see in feminism today. I see the argument out there. I was listening to this show this morning or this afternoon when I got home or something. There was a prominent feminist speaking on a radio station, and she was doing the old men are misogynist. It's an atmosphere of male patriarchal bullshit, and she was doing all this stuff and everything, and that's the result of it. We men just told them, hey, we want you to not do something. We want you to not be sluts. We want you not to. We want you to get back into this culture of traditionalism and everything. You know what they did? Exactly what they do every single time. They did exactly what you didn't want them to do. And I just think that's so funny when I look at feminism, and I rarely argue with them and everything, because I know whatever you say, they're just going to do exactly the opposite, or they're going to rhetorically spin it. And that's one of the things me and my buddy even used to talk about with when I was married back way back then, and we were both dating, and I says, no matter what I say to her, she has a way to rhetorically spin it and turn it around on me, and we couldn't understand how that happened. And then we realized that's in their nature. That's what they do. They're always scheming, always manipulating, always trying to. That's it. You just ask them to do something. Ask any one of them to do something, and I'll bet you $10 you will do exactly the opposite of what you ask, and that's it. That's it. Hello, rock and roll. Long live Steve Hoka in Lorain, Ohio, Steak and Shake. Yeah. I haven't been in the Steak and Shake for a while, Steve. Got kind of boring. The teenagers have taken over the Steak and Shake, and every night, all the teenagers from the local 3 or 4 schools all congregate there and eat burgers and they do silly things. So it's not something that I'm up for, but it's funny. Teenagers are funny, and man, them are that's that's little people on testosterone and estrogen in full gear, and that's just funny to watch sometimes. But it gets trying if you got a lot of them around. It gets like they're just buzzing around doing stuff. And you can see them little minds working. Them sharp little new minds are trying to figure out the world and try to figure out how to bend the world to their to what they want. And men do this. Men do this all the time. They want to bend the world to what they want, and that's when the lies and the theologies and this red pill truth comes out, because everybody in the red pill, they all think they've got their truth, and they got something that nobody else can see in the world, and that's why they're explaining it to them, because they got to explain that, because it takes a lot of explaining. Man, I've watched quite a couple dozen videos when I got home, and I was like, man, that's taking some splaining there. And it always brings me back to that minister, that the ministers are those tent priests, the WASP tent priests that are not quite in any organized religion, but I guess in sense it is an organized religion. It's I don't know what you call it, the neo Christianity. They've got some ideas, and really, it's all about getting laid, from their dating rituals to their marriage rituals to their everything they say. It's just about getting laid. That's all they want. They want a prostitute at night. They want a whore at night, and they want a housewife during the day. And that's not going to do it. That's almost an impossibility. And most men don't wake up to this fact, or they're not willing to say it to themselves that that thing that you want is an impossibility. The 50s was some big acid trip or something, the 50s and the 60s. I don't know what was wrong with those people and everything, but I don't want to go back there. That was them people were on drugs when you didn't go to jail for having drugs. And it was a bizarre society it was just a bizarre society that I choose not to go. They had some religious beliefs and everything, and it's untangling now that it's untangling in this world little by little, and the slow acceptance is coming into the traditionalists. But they're steadily trying to bring this thing back, trying to bring it back to the 50s, where that pretty little girl with the big bouffant hairdo and the shoulder pads underneath the dress to make her shoulders look bigger, and she's standing at the doorway every day. You get home from that 6-digit job in your new sports car, and there's the kids playing out in the front yard, and that's what they're pushing. Man, that's a beautiful thing. Sort of unrealistic, and when I look at it now, it's really funny. It's like some surreal cartoon that I would watch, and she's like, "Hi, honey, I just love you so much." And then I think about the way the world really is now, and that's a surreal cartoon, man. That's like reading a fantasy fiction book created by some simp or some beggar, and I just don't believe it. And I know a lot of people out there believe in it. I see them every day. I see it in the movies where love is king and love's going to settle everything. And there's this magic, mystical love place where they go to. And we know it is just a bunch of chemicals running around in their brain, and they're delusional, and their IQs have dropped a good 20%. And yeah, they don't want to admit that biological fact. But yeah, and but what always has bothered me, and it's always been a question, and I guess it's like some people ask themselves the questions about what is evil, what is true evil, and then they spend their lifetime pursuing that question of what this was, what this is. And I guess my question is what is that thing that makes men lie to themselves? And then they come around here, and probably the most honest place I've ever been in my life, and that's Mgtow, and they try to explain things. They try to explain things, and they got their red pill truth. And you just cut through all those lies and go, you just want to get laid, don't you? You just want to get laid and have someone make you sandwiches and make your bed like your mom used to, and clean the house during the day and run around all barefoot and pregnant and make cherry pies and apple pies. That's what you want. Just tell yourself. And I don't think any of them would agree. They'll go, hell yeah, that's what I want. That's a magical mystery place, cartoon, Disney, and Pixar. But it is Disney, Pixar, and cartoon stuff, and it's a blah, 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 Bugs Bunny and all that. And they make up these lies in their head, and they always bother me every single time. I look at them and I dissect it a little bit, and I cock my head. I give that look, and I'm like, no, he's just slow walking himself back to the. He's like Michael Jackson moonwalking himself backwards to the farm, because that's all he really wants anyways. And we see hundreds of these videos lately, but there's been more and more and more of them. And there's been an influx of just really guys that are trying to convince themselves that their red pill, their truth, their whatever that truth is, that veritas in this world is, they got it, and it all comes down to some woman being subservient to him in the end. And if she was just subservient, that would be like that would just be fine and dandy. And then I look at feminism and I go, you poor girls. I understand when dealing with those guys, those incels and those TFLers always begging like that. I understand how they feel, because that ain't going. That's 30 to 50% of the men out there every single day is going out there and torturing some girl with that incisive lying that I do anything for it, tell any story for it. From building a business to building a new religion to coming up with some new philosophy to whatever they're doing, to go into work, the way they dress, the way they act, the way everything's about that. Everything's still about that. And they could tell themselves in 1,000 different ways how it's not about that, how it's not about that. And then at the end of every one of their sentences, but if she would just be subservient. And then I just, yeah, since the days of yore, everybody's wanting a slave. Everybody wants a slave, but nobody gets one anymore, except for divorced people, because the male always becomes the slave, and that's the only way you can get a slave anymore. It's usually generally a male paying child support and alimony to you. That's the only way you get a slave anymore. So hey. We got to look at these girls and say, hey, they got it all figured out. I mean, every time I talk, I never say they're stupid, or I never say that their lack of intelligence. We're dealing with some pretty smart people, because they figured out how to get away with slavery, and within under the guise of a constitution that says there will be no slavery, there will be no debtor's prison, there will be no of this, and there will be no racism, there will be no of this, and we'll all treat each other equal and everything. And then they figured out how to eliminate maybe five of your constitutional rights in the divorce court. So that's pretty ingenious on their part, and I got to give them kudos for that. And I see the Mgtow, the MRAs over there arguing with them and everything. Don't you know you're dealing with a bunch of really geniuses because they figured out how to get slavery off in a democracy that condemned slavery. That's a magnificent feat. You got to give it to them. And I guess my point at some point, if you don't succumb to this thing and you don't just own it, at a certain point you just got to throw in your hat. Go, man, I'm throwing in my blue pill hat and I'm just gonna go Mgtow monk and I'm gonna go celibate and you can have all of that junk. You can have all of that mess because I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not going to lie to myself anymore, and I'm not going to tell those lies to myself. They and sometimes people believe and that's the part that bothers me, because when we got these guys coming around and they're doing that excessive hamster wheel, and is always getting about how the girl's got to be subservient and just give up that split V. And by the way, man, if you haven't gone your own way, go your own way, and all your sins will be forgiven. Hopefully, you go your monk way, and all your sins will be forgiven. Most of these guys are pathological liars, and that's what pathological liars are interesting, because they believe the lies that they tell, and it's a conscious lying. And so it borders somewhere in the delusion and the constant lies that they believe their own lies. It's difficult to know how they deal with this sort of this pathology of it, how they do that to themselves. And I suppose it would be a cognitive dissonance in the head, where you believe one thing is true, and on the other hand you believe exactly the opposite is true too. And I see that a lot. And most men, it would be refreshing, just really refreshing someday, if I came in here and all the incels say, hey, I'm just doing that so someday I can get laid. And all the PUAs would go, you got me, Joe. It's all about just getting laid, and that's all I think about. And it would be refreshing if they just, and I'd be like, I know that's all you think about. That's cool. And you can be yourself like that, but don't bring it around this Mgtow group, because I really care about these guys. And the TFLers, and I have most of the sympathy with the true force loneliness guys. And there's not much of a difference between the incels that's involuntarily celibate and the true force loneliness guys, except the true force loneliness guys, I always take Steve and the thing there, and I think Steve's a pretty normal guy. He's got a good brain in his head, and he's not a bad looking guy as for men go. I've seen uglier guys with women, if that's what he wants. But Steve somehow believes he's not worthy, and somehow he doesn't believe he's good enough. And that's when it just, pow, it just pops. It's like, man, it's like, wow, that's pretty weird, because I'm not seeing the same person you're seeing. I'm seeing someone a little bit better. But that's what all this Mgtow's about, is becoming a better man, and some better men grouping together and starting to become a little more honest with themselves. And honesty, I think, is important here. It's why we do our shedding of our sins, and we tell our stories when we first come in. It's like, damn, man, I got married and I fell for that, and I did, and I went down that whole road myself. Brother, I did it myself. I was there at one time, but I was able to catch myself around 40, about 38 years old, and start saying, man, I got to change the way I'm living, because this shit is not, it's not working out very well, and I don't like the life I'm living, and I never liked that life. I don't see how these guys would be able to tell me that that's a decent life to be living, and that that PUA, that always going out. And you guys know what it's like. You go out on the Fridays, the Saturdays, every time you get a chance, you're cruising the places where you think there's females at, trying to give her some quirky little quick thinking line that somewhere gonna awe her panties off, or you're gonna awe her panties off with your quick wittiness. And generally that's what Lambrusco wine is for. I call that that's panty remover, Lambrusco wine. You just put it in her and she removes those. But but yeah, I see the same thing, and I see the same thing. I got tons of blue pill friends. They're everywhere I look, and they come over, and they're always talking about the same thing, and they're always doing those activities, and they don't sound any different than the Mgtows that I hear around here explaining why they got to get that, why that's so important that they have to feel they got to come around here and talk about it incessantly. There's certain questions we got to ask ourselves as men, and that's why we do the introspections, and that's why we do the total honesty with these things. And I think that's when you come to this crossroads. That's where the devil sits. When you come to this crossroads, you could take this road, or you could take this road, or you can bargain with the devil. And that's what they're doing. They're bargaining with the devil on those things. And you can carry the devil across the swamp, like I said, and he'll sit squarely on your back for years, and you can live with that. But pathologically, you're going to have to tell yourself a bunch of lies in your life, and that's why they call them pathological liars, because they know what they really, really want in this whole world is to get laid, and that's it. Or, I don't even know if it's about procreation anymore. Having kids and all of that. I guess that's the bottom underlying. Lizard brain function that turns that on. But I think it's a real sickness when they can't turn it off, and that's what their whole lives are about. And they'll come around here with those million different things. And I probably watched about, last time, I didn't even look yet how many Mgtow videos are out there. There's got to be 600,000 up to 1 million of them now. The last time I looked, there was 340,000 of them, and everybody's got their different. Most of the people are just mimicking, or just mimicking what the Mgtows say and trying to get that through their head in some kind of orderly fashion that works out into this real world and everything. But they are really, when I look at some of these things, man, they're so creative and original. They're quick thinkers, and they got that rhetorics down, and there's a lot of common signs of lies in their thing. If you're thinking about this way, and you're thinking, and I watched a John the Other video the other day, and they were talking about the Canadian courts. The Canadian courts are interesting because you're not allowed to present evidence in your own behalf and everything. And then there was me and a couple other Mgtows was just like, hey man, if you just go Mgtow monk, you're not going to have to worry about all this stuff. You'll be a man above reproach. You're not bringing the problems into your life. Hence these things aren't going to happen. And then I started thinking about this old PUA, MRA, Mgtow argument, and one of the things that I had thought was true, and I've always thought that this is true, that if every man in the world went Mgtow monk for 1 year, every man in the world, if we all just got together and went Mgtow for 1 year, if every man in the world, or at least like 70% of, I don't think I was going to make up a bar for this video, but I didn't want to do the mind work on that. Like here on one side of the bar, this side of the bar will say there's Mgtow monk, and on the other side of the bar is MRA losing for the last 40 years. And if every man, and this end from this end is a time distance that goes up to forever. It just goes up to forever, and you're not honest with yourself over here. You're not going to do Mgtow monk. You're going to do Mgtow monk half. That might bring it down to like another 30 years of us talking about this. You do Mgtow monk, and it would take about 1 year before they start settling this shit out in the courts and the government and everything, because no one would have children and everything. If all the men in the world did this for 1 year, took 1 year out of their lives, just to put everything else aside, say we're not getting married, we're not playing those games, the laws and the rules are unfair for us, I don't want to be a slave, we're just not going to have no babies, we're not gonna let you steal our sperm and everything. If we all did that for 1 year, every man did that for 1 year, it would be a beautiful world after that, because it would be over. Feminism would just be over. The governments would just start folding. And you can't force a man to mate. You can't force them. I guess you can go to sperm banks and start handing out sperm to get the girls. The generals would start worrying, where are we going to get our soldiers at? All our soldiers for the wars that we want to have. They would all start freaking out if we just did that. Can you imagine the consequences if every man in the world went Mgtow monk for 1 year? Now put that on that side of the bar. It would take maybe 2.5 years. They would start feeling it. They would start feeling it after about 6 months. They'd be like, oh man, these guys are serious. They're just not going to do that. And we're going, yep, we're not going to do that. And then after about a year, they'd be like, marriage has dropped off to zero. There's being no kids born and everything. And everybody's freaking out, and the economy's plummeting. But it's unrealistic. We got about like maybe 5% of the population that knows Mgtow men, and another 90% are still doing that pathological lies with themselves. But I thought was, yeah, we all got this different red pill idea of how Mgtow is going to, and how the MRA is going to change things, and how the MGTOWs is going to change things, and how the PUA is going to change things, and how going Galt over here, and that's the four sides of the sign, are going to all change these things. And then, but the only realistic thing is if every man in the world goes Mgtow 100%, that would end. That there would be negotiations then. And that's what my thoughts on that were, and that's what we were shooting. I think that's the only honest thing to do. That's the only honest, really honest sort of, the really sort of honest thing to tell yourself when you come into Mgtow is like, all these guys are not going to do it, and there could never be an agreement between. You can even see it in here. There's no guy is ever going to agree on anything, and unless it's like red is red, and that's the color red, and we all know the color red, and unless it becomes that kind of truth, the obvious, undeniable truth, and somewhere in Mgtow is that obvious, undeniable truth that we need to hasten this thing, or this thing is going to become another 40 years of just horrendous awful gender dynamics, and Me Too and feminism, and it's just going to be awful. But it ain't going to happen, and that's what I'm saying. There's never going to be a day in this world where every single man wakes up and he goes, no, I'm just not going to do this with you for a year. I'm just going to work on myself, baby. Can you imagine Jamie trying to do that? I call him Gemma, by the way. Them incels and the TUPs, it's just like, oh man, we're just going to take a break from that for 1 year. And it's like, we're just not going to do it. We're not going to come. We're just going to work on ourselves, like work out. And I'm just going to go get some beer, like 20 cases of beer, and we're going to go start working out in my basement and just disappear off this planet for a year. And then all my friends won't have to hear me excessively whining about why I don't have a woman in my life. And that'd be the great part. That would just be great. Because even in my real life, I got like maybe 8, 9 guys that every time we go out, or every time we get dinner together, every time we end up at the bar, every time we end up at a sporting event, or playing baseball, or walking on the street, I have to hear their excessive whining about why they don't have a woman in their lives. And then I wonder, Jesus, why? The most common thing I see when I was trolling a page today, and I won't say which page it was. I was just trolling it. All I got to do is show up as Traversable Mgtow, and then they all start shouting like, you're an incel. Like it's a big insult to me. And I'm like, yeah, sure I am. You just keep believing that. But But yeah, there's always those insults. The insult, you're like Elliot Rodgers. Have you ever? You know, the one that someone said, "Have you ever been with a woman?" I was like, I don't really think about that much anymore. But I do have 5 kids, so so it's kind of funny to me. Uh, but yeah. So I have to look around, and I always look at the Mgtow videos out there, and they get to that part. Well, you know what Mgtow's about. Now I have this grandiose idea of what Mgtow's about, and it's like, here's the steps of Mgtow all laid out before you in a nice, perfect 12-step program. I wish Mgtow was a 12-step program. That would mean that there was actual steps that had uh, somebody had thought about this thing for a while and wrote it down. And you got to read them 2 guys with the 12 step. Who is that? Bill and Bob. They're in Akron, Ohio, the inventors of AA. You got to give them guys credit, man. They wrote that shit down. We paid someone to write some shit down once, and that didn't work out well. Guess I'm going to have to do it eventually. And then Paul Elam come in and he's like, well, this is the MRA version of Mgtow where I'm going to write it down and I'm just going to write in my friends, my PUA friends over there and tell you that's the way to go. It's religiousness, and they all want the same thing. They want love and affection and the split V, and they want that sleeping next to them at night. You know, that's the most horrible thing. If you ever slept next to somebody for a long period of time, it's the most horrible thing in the whole world. It's always that movement, but that's what they want. They just snuggle up together and body sweat and all that horrible bacteria sharing. But there's a certain amount of honesty I think most Mgtows have. A lot of Mgtows, the Mgtow monks have, when they sit back. Um, they sit back and they go, you guys are just silly. You guys are just silly, and that's a big old lie. So at the end, you get like 15 minutes of climax, and that's what your whole life is about. 15 minutes of climax. Oh man, that's it. I remember being there. It was horrible. But it does come to where you got to grow up in this world and face the truth about yourself, and that's what Mgtow Monk's about. It's facing the truth about yourself, and becoming that more respectable, more honorable person in life. That's a little bit happier with your existence instead of being that slave. You're a slave to that stuff. That shit, you don't own that shit. That shit owns you. So let me take a moment to say hello to everybody. That's what I was just bored. I was going to watch a Mgtow video. Then I said, nah, I'm not going to watch a Mgtow video because I'm going to have to hear all that whining and complaining and all that garbage and why women aren't subservient. And it's all feminism's fault. And when I hear that, I go, man, there is a real, that's what happens. Feminism is caused by incels and TFLers and PUAs and pussy beggars and white knights. That's why there is feminism. If all men were normal and they would just say, hey, just do what you want, I don't really care, it would all go away because like I said, you're not telling them to do something. And if you're not telling them to do something, you should not expect them to do the actual opposite of what you're telling them, because that's what they're going to do. Carly knows that one. Just ask Carly to do something. She'll do the exact opposite. Just don't tell me to do that. You tell me to do anything and I'll do the exact opposite. And that's most humans anyways, and women take that onto steroids. Hello, Steve. Laugh out loud. Yeah, rock and roll, Steve. I don't know if that's the real one. If someone could check that for me, it's hard to tell who's real, who's not real, and all I do is I see avatars unless I know the person by face, unless I've talked to them and all I see is avatars. There's Swine Dog. Hey, it's freaking Baker Mayfield. He's the biggest hit now in all the NFL. Freaking Baker Mayfield. Uh, and Browns, yeah, the Browns are finally playing good. They won the last 4 out of 6 games. That's really impressive. After watching 40 straight losses by Hugh Jackson, it's just like, wow, it's freaking Baker Mayfield. Baker is the man, isn't he? It's just wonderful to go through that. And we've seen this. We've seen this with LeBron James in Cleveland, and Jim Brown in Cleveland, and Bernie Kosar in Cleveland, and it comes around, and the miracle at Richfield. Were you around for the miracle at Richfield? I remember going and watching my father took me to that game, and we watched Indiana Pacers. I think it was the Indiana Pacers at that time. I might be wrong about who we played, and Bingo Smith and Ozzie Smith, and I can't remember who all the guys were on the team. And it was a wonderful year of basketball, and I was pretty into basketball when I was a kid. I was much slimmer and more muscular. I had little six-pack things going across here. All the boys of my age did. We had 6-packs because we didn't have all the junk food and everything, and we didn't have McDonald's. The first time I ate McDonald's was, I think I was 14 years old, and it wasn't McDonald's. I had a fish sandwich it was a fish sandwich from Burger King. It was the Whaler, when the Whaler first came out. And that was my first taste of fast food. We didn't have it in the little area, and we were hippies, so we didn't eat that stuff. But all the kids were more fit back then. We all were skinny and had 6-packs. Most of the kids, if you were a fat kid back then, you were just going to get shamed. You were just going to get shamed. Yeah, go look at some of the school's pictures where the boys, and I was around that age too. Were you? Yeah. Yeah. I remember playing basketball when I was younger, and I loved basketball. I did, but I wasn't tall. I was a little over 6 feet tall, and so I wasn't ever going to be taken seriously as a basketball star. But I really loved to play the game and everything. I liked football better because I was more suited. My body type was more suited for football, a linebacker. But didn't take that serious. I wish someone would have told me they were going to make $14-15 million a year. I'd have been, that's incredible. I'm a little scrawny, but tough as nails. Yes, you are, Terrence. We're all Mgtows are tough as nails. I think it takes courage to be a Mgtow, and like I was talking about earlier, being a Mgtow takes courage because you got to be honest with yourself and lose that cognitive dissonance. I want this, but I want this, and I'm doing this because of this. And then I look at the juice isn't worth the squeeze, and it's never worth the squeeze. And why am I doing it? And all you got to do is shut off that signal from your lizard brain that's telling you that's what you want 100% of the time. And then life clears up. You lose all that excess bacteria, and maybe start working out, whatever you want to do. Take some walnut oil and some, get rid of that bacteria. That's what I would suggest for most guys. But life becomes more honest. And that's what Mgtow's about, becoming honest with ourselves. And no matter what we are, and that's what I want for all the incels and the TFLers, just become honest with yourselves. Take a deep look at yourself, say, this is what I am. I'm going to have to be happy with it because I'm not getting any more cards in this lifetime, and I can't change the deck, and I can't change my hand, and this is the hand I was dealt from me, so I'm going to have to either bluff my way through this thing or just get really comfortable with it, and stop yelling about it. That's what it is, and become comfortable with myself. And that's what I tell all the incels. That's what I tell Gemma. I call him Gemma. That's funny. He never gets that when I say, hey, Gemma. But yeah. But it's the lies. It's that one lie. It's that lie that hinges, and that's the obsessive question I got about men. Why do they sit there and lie to themselves about that? Why is it? Why are they going over that big hamster wheel when it's so simple and it's right in front of your face? And Mgtow monks have been telling you that. Just get in touch with yourself and stop doing that to yourself, because that clears a lot of thinking up, and it clears up a lot of your problems in life. And I mean, it causes some problems too, because you might get a little bit of, like, I'm looking at we see it all the time around here. You're looking at the political shape of things and then realizing that all roads lead back to Mgtow, and you're paying taxes for this, you're paying taxes for the religious system of excessive daters that want to get married and want to have a divorce code, and probably at least one of these big buildings here is a health and human service building, and you just paid for it for 20 out of your pocket, out of your taxes. We see those things and we can put two and two together and all that. But until all men get aboard and all men are a little bit red pilled, and some of their ideas about what is red pilled and what is not red pilled, and I went over that a few dozen times about these guys think they're red pilled because they can see something nobody else in the world can see. They're so unique. No, it's just that they can say something a little differently, a little bit of snarkiness, and that's the thing I wanted. There are all these truth preachers, Everybody's a truth preacher in the world, and all I've ever seen out of truth preachers is he got his truth, and he's got his truth, and he's got his truth, and they all want to get laid, and that's it's all about that big house and getting the best one. You got to get the best one. Oh man. Oh, that becomes also silly. It becomes also silly, like, man, I got to get that Farrah Fawcett looking one, or that. I don't know what's the new hot girls nowadays. I haven't even looked. I mean, who's the new Charlie's Angels? Who's the new? I don't know. I have no idea who the new ones is. Oh. Yeah, that's one of those truths too. They're never gonna love you, and it's like I see that daily on it. They're never gonna love you like you, because you're chemically induced to that feeling. That feeling's that dropping feeling in your heart and stuff like that. I hear men say that all the time. You know what that is? You become dependent on that. Because it's bacteria. Bacteria collects in your brain and your heart, and the bacteria turns on the peptides. It collects in your brain. You get the heart feeling. You get that sinking feeling, like, oh, I'm in love, and you become dependent on that thing. You're addicted to it. It becomes an addiction because of the oxycodines and stuff that you're pumping through your body. Your mind is making them. Your peptides and your what do you call those? I can't remember what the sex drug is. Babies get them from their mama's tits too. Uh, like it is a drug. It's not like a drug. It is a drug. It's a drug. It's 10 times more powerful than any heroin you're ever going to take. They've proven that one. Someday they're going to figure out how to mass manufacture that, and then it's all going to be over. They're just going to give us it in tablet form. I think that's what Soma is about. Somas, you get the love drugs in pill form, and Huxley's Brave New World, and then they all sit around and chant orgy porgy orgy porgy orgy porgy while John hangs himself. You ever think how perfect that was? You ever think how perfect that was at the ending of Huxley's Brave New World? They all took their Soma. They're watching John get it on the couch and the big glass windows in the front. John's so guilty that he was the actual last human being in the world to be don't know if he was Mgtow or he's just so guilted by that he hangs himself while they're having chanting orgy porgy. I was like, that is so perfect. Oxytocin, yeah, that's it. Oxytocin. Thanks, you, my thanks, Terrence Marine. Yeah, there's oxytocin, there's peptides, there are all the feel-good drugs and all that, and I kind of concentrate on the bacteria of it, but they take my videos down when I talk about the bacteria because they equate it to they equate it to parastasis and parasites, and they go, well, you're calling women parasites, and I'm not calling women parasites, I'm calling bacteria parasites. Bacteria is parasites. It's small little parasites. That's what that's what it is, and I'm not lying there. Ask any scientist, that's going to be honest what it is, and that's what turns them things on. That's what they took my. That's what I got my second strike for. My 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 parasite video, and they're like, no, you can't say that, even though it is truth. And they said that I had called them. I said, no, I didn't. You got to watch it, and it's not. I'm not calling them parasites. I'm saying there's a parasitical thing that happens with love, and that infatuation and the bacteria and the pheromones. That's what pheromones are. They're dead bacteria. It's boom, you're there. It's like you're in love. No such thing as love. I was watching some movies. I watched what movie did I watched Bumblebee. Anybody watch Bumblebee? And lately, I stole it. Yes, obviously, I stole it because you can't watch it because it just came out. And yeah, Bumblebee. Bumblebee now is the new feminist version of Transformers. And Transformers are the robot Transformers. They turn into cars and shit, which is really cool for guys. And that's what it's out. It's boy fantasies. That's what Transformers were about. Cars turn into robots with guns and they fight. And that's like, whoa, that's boy stuff. That's man stuff. I mean, but now there's Bumblebee, and Bumblebee is a new feminist. It's actually written by a female too. I noticed at the credits at the end, and they have love, and Bumblebee loves this, and she learns to love him, and at the end he's like laying at the water, and she looks deeply into his eyes, and love gives him the energy to get out, and it's like, oh God, this is so horrible. Little boys don't watch that. Little boys don't watch it, and but it's supposed to be about cars and battles and masculinity, and they feminized it, and they made it all emotional. Bumblebee, you'll get to see it, but I wonder why shaming language is so closely associated with Mgtow. Well, Mgtow's always said that we get shamed into going back to the blue pill world. There's code red shaming, there's code blue shaming, there's code pink shaming. You can look online and get code yellow shaming and all of that, and all those things are different techniques that people use on us. That's what I call when you go somewhere like me, and I'm a Mgtow in my name, and they automatically just blurt out, well, you're an incel. That's shaming. That's like, oh God, I never knew it. And geez, I'm 55 years old, and I just forgot to realize that I was a fucking incel. And does that mean I never had those 3 kids? It's like, but that's about shaming. They want me to go back to the farm so desperately that they'll just shame you into it. It's like, yeah, we'll just shame Mgtows. But someone said something. It was Mr. Hate Vicious the other day, and I was listening to Mr. Hate Vicious because I just like watching it. It's funny. And he said something really honest the other day. He says, for men, the feminists, all men are pigs, he says. And then he says, and then we look up and we see the slut walks and the anti-slut shaming. and then men call women sluts, but that's somehow you have to have anti-slut shaming. But then the whole feminist nation and the whole world, just all these men are such pigs. Well, that's their word for slut. Men are pigs. And we're not allowed to say what we believe and what we like. Who wants a woman that's been on the carousel for like 10 years and has hundreds of partners? That's what we would consider that wrong. But in the same tone, they'll say, well, they call men pigs all the time, and that seems to be the more acceptable term. It seems to be, and he was right on the money with that. And it's like, yeah, they get away with, but that's gynocentrism. And I tried to explain gynocentrism to a crowd of politically over politicalized people today on a chat, and I was like, you guys know what gynocentrism is? As is, you're doing it. Because we can see it and everything. Ella Vista, I can't remember her name now. She wrote they were talking about the myth of male dominance and everything, and Ella Vista wrote that book, The Myth of Male Power. And there's always some myth of male power, and Ms. Vista, I think her name was, she says, no, that's not true, and I'm going to tell on the girls because they know it's not true. And that's the same thing. That's gynocentrism. You have to believe that there's this myth of male power out there that we what do they call that? They call that we structurally work it into our society, the myth of male power. It's not that they were dimorphically bigger, and sometimes 20% of us are smarter. Not all of us. I've seen some stupid men in my life, man, 86 IQ men just running around out there like humping on everything like bunnies. And I mean, that's the way their minds work. That's all. It's like sex, like get laid. That's all they think about. But that's how you measure a man's IQ now. It's like if he's thinking about that 24/7, that's a stupid man. But yeah, there is a predominantly from 86. They're just never going to get it. And there's going to be those guys whining on their deathbed because they never realized what life was about. Well, what life was about. I have a son, and he's against men. He is not against men, but society is changing, and you guys need to adapt. Oh, yeah. So I got kecky with them today. I was talking. There's like, they're talking to feminism. I said, I'm all for feminism. You guys do what you're doing. Doesn't bother Mgtow any little bit. And matter of fact, if there's a program like feminism that's going to teach women accountability and responsibility, go for it. And I would consider that your job. Are you failing? Go for it. Go girls. Teach women accountability and responsibility. They open their legs. It's 100% their problem, their child. They make them. I don't. I can't have babies. I mean, it's go girl. Do that. I want feminism to succeed because I want every woman out there that when she has a baby, go, this is my baby 100%. And I'll say, I agree. That is your baby 100%. Don't come talk to me about anything. That's 100% responsibility. And I was like, go girl feminism. I want it to happen. But yeah, it's an inconvenient truth that that's never going to happen. And we say, well, yeah, that was the point. It's just never going to happen. You're never going to be totally responsible for your body, your choice. You're never going to have somehow it'll fall on the backs of men. And that's the point. And they go, no, there's patriarchal dominance, and it's like, no, I just want what you want. I just want what you want. I want that 100% for you. I'm all for go feminism. Just go feminism. Teach women accountability and responsibility, and probably teach them about hypocrisy so they don't like go. They want to have babies and they want to go on welfare. It's like, no, that's not accountable. That's not responsible. And I was looking at the child stats. the birth stats, and I went over all the birth stats because they just released them about a week and a half ago, I think. So I'm a diligent Mgtow, so I go and look at those things. You're paying to be brainwashed. Go to college, yeah, go to college. I'm not quite down on that gender dynamics and stuff like that. I think everybody should take that course just because it's like sociology. I believe in sociology because sociology is the only way you can measure male suicide. Sociology is the only way you can measure movements of people and everything. But they've turned it into gender dynamics and sociology and stuff like that. With bias, the numbers and everything. That's what we complain about. Let's get down to making it right. Teach sociology the way sociologists would teach it. And hey, Dougie. Dougie's been outside all day today. He's been outside laying in the cold. It's been like 30 degrees out there. And he's got an earache, and he wants to go back out with his earache. I've been giving him ampicillin, like 250 milligrams of ampicillin every day to try to get rid of his ear infection, but he's too stupid to know he shouldn't go outside all day because he's got a big puffy fur and everything. Yeah, I know, Doug. Yeah, I know. Go lay down. Go lay down. Uncle Daddy's talking. My son. He's my son. So I haven't done a video in a couple of days. I didn't do my usual Sunday, and I wanted to see what was going on in Mgtow. And there wasn't no late night videos except for whiskey in Mgtow for hours and hours on end for the last 2 days, which I find offensive. All these new Mgtows, get on the ball. Christmas is coming. It's very stressful for men out there, and Mgtows aren't making videos or not having chats anymore. And I said, look, I leave and I stop doing this for a little bit of time, and it falls fucking apart. I mean, come on, guys. I'm the leader. I know. The leader. As a leader, I have to lead and get guys back making chat videos where people can, where men can hang out and just watch and be entertained by Mgtow. And but I look back for the last few, and it's been steadily declining for the last few months. Everybody's getting burned out. They don't want to take the time to actually talk to their fellow Mgtows anymore. It's too busy for that, I guess. I know you want to go outside, don't you? Yeah, no, you're not. I love doing that, Tim. And you're not getting no more beer. Christ wasn't even born in December. Christ, yeah. They say if you look at the olive trees, that the way the branches were, what they had described, it would become right around July, and that's why they have Christmas in July, because there's some people out there that are truthers that actually read the statement about when he was walking down that road, and he says, well, they described the scenery that they were seeing, and no, it wasn't like this time of year. It was a different time of year. Aesop, it's all about Santa. Laugh out loud. Santa Claus. Santa Claus is a fun concept, isn't it? Some fat guy that looks like me when I keep my beard, like jumping jolly. He's got rosy cheeks, and some German guy, and he's like bringing toys to the kids that are good. I guess there's some real sadness behind that story, but no one likes to talk about the real sadness about what Kris Kringle and Santa Claus was. And back in I can't remember where that came from, Germany, and it was an awful place to live, and it was hostile to humans, and there was no fruit at that time, and one guy used to make toys for the kids to kind of cheer them up. Saint Claus. That's why he's Saint Claus. Saint. But it's an interesting thing to look at, and I know all the kids look forward to it. I bought myself a gift this year. I did. I bought myself a gift of a new graphics card. You can hear it humming. I had to move it from here over to here because it's so much louder now. They said, oh, this thing was going to be so quiet. They lied. They lied. I pulled my Fire Pro 7900 out, and back in the day, 2012, that was a really good graphics card, and it was one of the best graphic cards. And I pulled that out and I put an RX 580 Sapphire Pulse in, and it was supposed to be so much better, and I haven't noticed anything better about it. But I ordered Call of Duty. I'm going to get that in the mail, and I'm going to play Call of Duty and kind of see if it's any better. I did notice the sound, and I could expect it's not the old Sound Blaster cards that they used to use. Although Sound Blaster is pretty good now. If you do buy a Sound Blaster card now, it's $123. If you want to do stuff like this, you might want to get one. Here comes Satan. He comes right down Satan Lane. Yeah, Satan. That's an interesting comic. The red guy that lives below us to fear us into doing good. Otherwise, you're going to go to hell. Yeah, I don't believe in hell. If I don't believe in heaven, I don't believe in hell. It's like convenient that way. But it's all funny, religious stuff, and it's based on, if you look at it like it is, based on how to develop some ethics and seriously flawed human beings. Because we're so seriously flawed. Just look at our politics nowadays. You got like Comey and that stuff, and guys going to jail because they can't keep their fingers out of the cookie jar. We have a president that paid off 2 prostitutes. And they said, well, that's not so bad. And he's our president, and he was supposed to, that was the biggest lie ever to Mgtow. All these alt-righters came around and it's like, vote Trump, and man, Trump's going to take care of us, and he's going to, and then all you hear now is like, you look around the swamp now, and the swamp's half women now. And he put half women in charge of everything. And they're talking about Nikki Haley as vice president. They're going to replace Nikki Haley with, that's what they're talking about, a woman vice president, because that's what we need. It's like, oh, man, you guys lied to us. Yeah, you did. You lied. Milo. That's when Milo was around, and Milo lied to everybody. And I just got to learn to sit back and, like, don't get involved. Don't get excited, guys, because they're lying. That's what blue pill people do. They lie to themselves. That's what this video is about. Yeah, he did. That's funny. I just laugh about it now. That's why I go over to poke at the political people, because they still think Trump's going to save the manosphere, and he's not. He's not. He has no intention of that. Because you know why? Because it's what I said. They'll do the hamster wheel with that cognitive dissonance and because they all just want to get laid. That's it. That's the inevitable truth of these things. And that's what he wanted, and that's what he got, and that's why he had to pay off these prostitutes. Can you imagine if you were like in that position of Stormy Daniels, or can't remember the other one's name. She don't love the more insignificant one that no one knows her name, which is just pretty funny to me. Oh yeah, that is funny. So $300,000 or something. Man, I would hush up too. Give me $300,000, and I would hush the fuck up. It's hush money. Yeah, I didn't see nothing. By swine. Swine is good. I forgot to look up I was going to look up the pork bellies. I wanted to see where pork belly futures were today. And because I noticed the price of bacon's outrageous. And I was like, man, maybe I should have took that seriously. But I think it's passed already. I think that was in November where that came out. So, and I missed that. And I missed that. Hello, Aaron Rubin. Heard the latest. Traversable. You could now get a abortion pill mailed to you. Ooh, abortion by mail. Yeah. So I used to think about those things, about the morning after pill, and I thought that was all. And I don't think about them now. Well, let the girls let them do what they want to do. Once you're a Mgtow, you're like, I don't care what they do anymore. You just, because you know what's going to happen now that you get an abortion pill in the mail. Some dude's going to order like 20 of them, some PUA, and he's like, "Yep, I got these babies just in case of emergency." He's going to kill the baby, and he's going to get caught. He's going to give it to his pregnant girlfriend and get caught, and then they're going to blame everything on men. It'll be like there's this one guy in North Dakota that did that, and then now it's all men's fault because there was the exception to the rule just became the rule. That's what they're going to do. What is PetSmart is blue. PetSmart. Yeah, I was looking at PetSmart the other day. PetSmart. Yeah. Why? PetSmart. Yeah, I was looking at that. That came up on the top earners for 2 days ago, when everything else was tanking and PetSmart and because Christmas and stuff. Doug's, what do you want? Do you really want to go out that bad where you're going to interrupt me doing this? Do you really want that to happen? I really just want you to lay down, Doug's. I do. He wants to scratch behind the ear. You want to hear him? Yeah, he loves that. He a little scratch. He starts like, whoa, oh, that's the greatest thing. Don't stop. Doug's. It's his huffiness. He's huffy right now, and I know he wants something. So that's what I wanted to talk about, and that's what I in Mgtow. Well, let me go do this. I don't want to really end this podcast because I know there's no other podcast going on. Let me see if there's any other podcast going on. I could do this in a second, and I'm gonna put Dougie outside and take a short break. I could look this up and see if there's any podcast going today. And then live Mgtow. There's two of them. There's Kiko. Oh, yeah, I'm going Mgtow. Enough is enough. Okay. So there's two podcasts, me and someone else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a short break. I'm going to get myself a glass of water, and I'm going to put Dougie outside so he quits bothering us. And I'll be back. Look at the beautiful moon. It's Providence, Rhode Island right there. I'll be back in a minute. Whoa. Get a dog. Get a dog. That was. I hope you had time to go get yourself something to drink. I forgot to bring my water in. That's okay. So we were talking about the lies men, and PUAs and beggars and them sorts tell themselves when they come in Mgtow to keep the illusion, the fantasy going that white picket fence and all that stuff and everything, and it works down into our politics and everything goes. Everything, all roads go back to Mgtow, and I think that's the Mgtow lesson today. And the beggars and the lies they go through. What kind of dogs? Dougie is an American Eskimo. He's a Spitz breed American Eskimo, the white one, and he likes it outside when it snows. I got 2 dogs. Oh, I see you're talking to Johnny 5. Yeah. What kind of dogs do you have, Johnny? Mutts. One big and one little. I'll Mgtow should own a dog. So that's my podcast for today, because I can't remember what I was talking about. And I think I'm getting pretty close to wrapping this thing out. I was going to keep going for a couple hours, but there's no use. I've been noticing a shortage of Mgtow material lately. And some of the Mgtow material is just PUA, and it's not monkish. And I did notice a video the other day I wanted to talk about a little. Our friend Mexican Mgtow was back, and he says you can't be a Mgtow, and he was explaining if you're a monk, because he still hates us. And I think that's the funniest thing. You got to be a leader of men, of yourself, he was saying, and you can't be a Mgtow if you're monk. And I think that's the most ridiculous, because he was relating it to religious stuff, and that's what Sandman did. He's like he's relating it in his head to religiousness, and just being religious and that stuff, and it has nothing to do. Mgtow monk has nothing to do with religion. Nothing at all. Sorry. Your theology is your Mgtow. That's your theology is your Mgtow. That's what you're saying when you're saying you're a Mgtow monk. You're saying you have a passion for this theology, and this theology is Mgtow, and I'm going to adhere to the rules 100%, because I can see that if every man went Mgtow monk, the gender dynamics war would be over in 1 year. Guaranteed. I would guarantee that. Nations would crumble. Nations would crumble if every man went Mgtow monk for 1 year. Nations would topple. They would bow down, and they would say, guys, please come back. Please come back. We'll give you anything you want. And I don't want anything from anybody. All I want is for women to take responsibility for their own bodies. That's it. Just take responsibility. If you spread those legs and you have a baby, it's your baby. And I'll agree with that 100%, because that's what the judge told me. It's your baby 100%. Don't come looking for anything from me. And we live in a world now that we can do those things, and go girl. Go be a feminist and have 100 babies. And I don't care. I don't care. Let's bring polygamy and polyandry in, and there's no such thing as religiousness and monogamy. And don't tell me that lie, because I know you're not going to be monogamous anyways, and it's not something that we can do. So that's my concept, and I don't care what the feminists are doing. I just say, hey, if you're going to do that thing, then your job is to teach women responsibility and accountability, and that's it. And that's what my idea of feminism. That's my feminism. I'm going to get a shirt that says I'm a feminist. I need feminism. And my shirt would read, I need feminism because I need feminists to teach women responsibility and accountability. Because they're not listening to us. Because it's the same way it's always been. As soon as we say that, they do exactly the opposite. Because that's human nature. Go figure. Go figure. I think I'm being 100%. I think I'm being 100% honest with that, and that's Mgtow monk. It's about being honest with yourself. I'll just walk away. I'm over here. Just leave me alone. Don't want nothing to do with that, because you're all freaking silly. You're all crazy. You're all crazy. You back again, Dougs? Are you back? He just ate a half a can of food. I gave him a half a can of the chicken food, and he's eating now again. He wasn't eating for a while. He got a bad ear infection, and then you ever have to clear a dog's ear when you got an ear infection? It's gross. It stinks. And it's nasty, and you don't want to do it. But I had to, because I'm not going to pay $1,000 for a doctor's bill. I'm not. Sorry, buddy, you're going to die. Uh, yeah, that's his thing. But he won't stay inside. But he stopped eating for a while. It was like a week he stopped eating. I was like, Mighty Dog. I gave him a Mighty Dog and he wouldn't eat it. I was like, damn. The day he doesn't eat a Mighty Dog is, whew, that's pretty serious. So I got ampicillin for him, pet ampicillin. You can order it online now. We're in control of weak, needy men. Are you, Carly? Yeah, you are. The Gemmas and the PUAs and the TFLers. Women are in total control. It's the myth of male power. That's why we say with 80 to 90% of men out there not in control of their physical sexuality and their ability to suppress that need and that thirst and that whininess. Women are in total control, and that's where the myth of male power comes in. It's like it's hypocrisy when women say that there's this undertone male power in society, and I can't remember the word they use for that. And there's this patriarchy, and they're running the world when 80 to 90% of the men are in total control. The women are in total control of them because all they want is that split V. They'll do anything for that. They'll do anything. And it's like, yeah, explain that one to me. Yeah, wage gap is arguing about that. I was thinking about that the other day. Arguing about the wage gap would be like me if I'm making like $68,000 a year and my boss is making $70,000 a year and I complain about it. It's like that's what the wage gap is. That's marginal difference. There's a marginal difference at the top there, and it's like me complaining about that. Well, that's silliness. And when I become the boss, I want to make $72,000 a year. I'll ask for 72. I would never sit there and argue with them about that. It's like, go on, take that. That's like $4,000. Jesus, I'm not gonna bust my brain about that and make it a social and political argument. But it really, there's not much difference now. I think they said it was like 2% or 3%. That's pennies. That's when you start arguing about. You're going to argue. My father used to say all the time, "You're going to argue about that quarter and cost yourself $1." Insurance for sex and a permit. Hello, my friend. We smell corruption. I can't remember your real name that you used to use. Johnny Five. Let's take a short say hello to everybody. That Johnny Five and everybody that's in the Garfunkel Skellistein and Terrence and everybody that's in today and stop by to visit me while I blabber on about my red pill truth and what I think my red pill truth is, and it's a little bit hard to understand. Just be accountable, be responsible. That's all I'm asking. I don't care that there's feminism. I'm never going to argue a day with a feminist. I'll say, good, go girl, you do that. Become that strong, empowered girl. Take care of yourself. Go get some sperm from your sperm donor clinic and have babies, but don't ask me to pay for them. That's it. Don't ask me to pay for them, and don't go back and ask the guy that you were in back of the bar all drunk and he ended up behind a dumpster and he hit it, and it's not his responsibility. It was never his responsibility. You open those legs, take 100% responsibility, 100% accountability, and say you made that decision. That's all I want for the women. That's all I want. And wage gap. That's pay them whatever they want. I don't care. I don't care. That's not an argument for me. But I'm not going to sit there and argue all day and make up demons in my head that about something that's not real. The truth of the matter is I can't have a baby. I'm a male. Can't have it. Can't do it. I could be a DNA donor, but that's just a copy of my gene. It doesn't make me responsible in any way whatsoever. Biologically, that baby's not mine. And that's what the judge told me. And that's when I said, oh, you're right. Why did you guys lie to me? And they said, well, the trap wouldn't have been set if I wouldn't have lied to you. Oh, shit, didn't see that coming. God, you got me bad. That's what I say now. It's like, you got me bad. I'll get you. I'll become a Mgtow. That's what I said. And someday most men will wake up to the fact that we're just getting screwed over, and there's no male power, and there's all the myth of male power, and 80 to 90% of the men out there can't control their sexual urges. So women got them right under their thumb, right where they want them. And that's the truth. And that's the truth. You can't handle the truth? Don't become a Mgtow. Yeah, there's a lot of things feminists say that are right. Like, that's just the truth. And I say, well, they like it the way it is. Well, you would like it if you got a slave and gifts. Everybody wants a slave and gifts. I want a slave. I have to do my dishes later. Shit, that sucks. I want a slave too. But that's what men want too. They want one of those barefoot and pregnant ones doing the dishes, and that's just slavery. That's the same thing they're saying to you, but they're taking it out into the family courts, and they get it. That's the judges in the Constitution that ruled against slavery said, "Oh, we're going to give you a slave," and we're going, "No, that's not even right, dude. That's barbaric." They go, "No, but you're a man, and you want that, don't you? You want that split V?" And most men will go 90%. Yeah, and those, well, you had to pay for it. So Uncle Sam's the biggest pimp there is, and pimping's wrong too. That's Health and Human Services always all over that human trafficking. But Uncle Sam is the biggest human trafficker there is because he pimps out all the girls so he can run his divorce courts and his family slavery courts. What a bunch of morons. Yeah, it gets serious. You're like, man, them people are a bunch of morons. Blue pill people are morons. And they don't see it. They're like all going for it, like, go, yeah, we're going to do this thing. And we're going, no, we'll just sit over here and watch because you look like a bunch of monkeys. You're a bunch of monkeys humping on plastic dolls. That's what you look like to us. And that's an awful sight. Don't put that picture in your head. That's surreal. That's what I look at blue pill people. I just think, man, they're just a bunch of monkeys humping on plastic dolls. Or they got we were in a monkey experiment where they put the little dolly and the baby and the monkey cage. I said, look, the monkey loves the doll. That proves it that people need affection or they'll die. That's what they're going for. They're saying, oh, men need a. No, you don't. You're not going to die. I'm proof of that. I'm proof of it. There's nobody no affection at all around here. It's just me and Doug and in the four walls, and I'm not dead, and I didn't die from not having a woman. But yes, it's a TFL or an incel. They're like, I'm gonna die if this doesn't happen. It's just gonna kill me. No, it might kill it might kill an infant not to have a mother. That's only because there's no one to feed it. And that only lasts up to the age of 6 or 5 or 6, and then like there's no need for a mother after that a regular human, or at least couldn't take care of those needs. So that's why the tender years doctrine's got it all wrong. The tender years doctrine should only work up to the age of 6, or because breastfeeding ends at 6. And that's the logic on that. But they've taken that like way into family courts and tell all sorts of lies about that. Johnny Five, you're not dead. It didn't happen. You didn't die because of lack of affection. That's what I laugh at him. I think Nico used to come around and say, man, if you don't get that affection, you're going to die. They proved that with babies, he was telling. And I said, yeah, they proved it with babies. You're an adult male. You're not going to die. Trust me, you're not going to die from it. But there's the simping and the thirst, and that's what we talk about. When these guys talk like that, we're like, you're just thirsty, you're just simping. You want one thing, you want that, and that's what your whole life's about. And that's why Mgtow's here coming to explain these things. And yeah, it's so funny to watch. And but that's the big lie, and that's the thing that bothers me about when I look at the blue pill nation of an 80 to 90% of men out there. I like, man, they're all telling themselves that lie, and it's like it's creating so much cognitive dissonance in the male brain that that women just have them under their control, and there's supposed to be some myth of male power. But look at President Trump. There's this myth of male power, but he had to pay a prostitute $300,000 to shut up, and she didn't laugh all the way to the bank because he can't control himself. He's 70 years old and can't control himself. What a dick. What a dick. What a simp. I'll say it. I'll say it to his face if he asks me too. You're a simp. But Mgtow fell for that for a while because you had to be. They're saying, oh, you got to be a Republican if you're a Mgtow. Because President Trump is going to save us. Yeah, I'll let this go a few years and that will become a lie too. It always becomes a lie. The failures of the MRA. That was the MRA failure. It's ridiculous too. It's ridiculous. And Stardust is right. The best place to be as a Mgtow is you become a centrist, and you kind of center yourself on what issues affect you and what issues that don't affect you. And for a Mgtow monk, female issues just don't affect us. It just doesn't. I'm not gonna. I'm not. It's just. I got no use for it. Talk about something else. Talk about lowering taxes. Talk about we don't live in a feudal society where 50% of people are renting now, and we have enough houses out there for more than 5% above the 100% that's needed. Yeah, we don't live in a feudal nation where the elite run your life. That's the issues that Mgtow should. Them are the issues, and then we go elect a real estate guy that's supposed to save us. No, he wants you all to be. He wants you all to be the little Smurfs running around that live in a feudal little blue pill Smurfs. You're all little, and you live on this farm where he gets rent. That's what they want. Yeah, yeah. I think that's one of the most important subjects in Mgtow is the feudal nation that we live in, and how the bankers achieve that, and why they almost crushed the world economy a few years ago. And they're going to try to do it again because they're bubbling that up again. They're giving loans to about anybody, but the house prices keep going up, and there's more renters out there. And no person should be without a house in the United States, at least, where we build more than enough. It's like China. They complain about China, but China's got whole cities that are not inhabited, that people could just move in anytime they want because they're not a feudal state, and there's no predatory capitalism going on. But somehow that's bad. That's bad. If you don't give your money to the elite, that's bad. And that's the signals that they're telling you. They want you to get married, go through a divorce. Better yet, if you go through 2 or 3, have some kids. Be a blue pill moron. Be a Smurf. Live on the land there, that we provide to you. And somehow they become the lords of the manor. They become the king. That was not about what America was about. My buddy tells me they're going to kill you if you keep talking that way, Joe. And I suppose they will. They don't like it when you tell the truth on them. And that would be why I'm an avid Maoist. I'm a Maoist. The people argue about that, and they say, "Oh man, don't be them progressives." Well, Mgtow just so happens to be progressive as fuck. It does. Mgtow, when you're saying, I don't want to get married, I'm not going to play this religious game, I'm not going to do those things. Guess what that is? That's being progressive as hell. You are progressive. but the cognitive dissonance in the guys that are begging for the V, they just, oh man, they just don't understand that. It's like, golly, you guys are confused. And that's half the videos I see out there. They're all going down the hamster wheel of why it's okay to still continue hitting it and quitting it and doing the PUA. Because they're begging. Their whole life revolves around that. They're lost men. They're not going their own way. They're going the women's way. And Carly said it. Carly was the greatest example. Carly, she's in touch. We control men, they say. If you got that thirst and you got that lust, we control you. But that'll piss people off. That will piss people off. That'll piss a man off. He's like, I'm not controlled. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. If you got that thirst, you got that lust, and you're running around all weekend, you bought yourself some new skinny jeans, and your outfit and your car, and everything you do is to get that, they got control of you. You'll do anything. You'll go to work. You'll work as slave. You'll be a slave for them. But that's 80% of the men in our society that volunteer just before that 15 minutes every once in a while of euphoria. And it gets pretty silly when you start thinking about it. I start laughing. That's the Mgtow bench. You sit back and you laugh at them because you go, you're a jackass. They're jackasses. Yeah, don't let them control you. And they will do that one way. There's only one thing that Barbarossa said it way back in the day, and I'll paraphrase him. There's only one thing that competes with the male spirit to be free. That's his sex drive. That's the only thing that competes with. But that's how they get you. That's how the blue pill world gets you. They use 100%. They'll use your sex drive against you. And when I see the simps, and I see the incels, and I see the TFLers whining about that, I go, they got you, man. They got you 100%. The only true way to do this is if every man Mgtowed, it would be over. We win. If every man Mgtowed properly and monk Mgtowed, it would be over in 1 year. We can wrap this 40 years of hell up. This last 40 years of whatever you want to call it. We can wrap it up. We win. If every man did that. If every man went Mgtow monk. And that's what we strive for. That's why we do these videos. We hope that someday all the men will wake up, tuck it back in their pants, zip up, and go, no, I'm not doing that anymore. Because I'm not a slave. And I want my freedom. That's why we're doing it. And they can make up all the lies. They can call us all the names because they will. Shaming. They'll use code red shaming, code blue shaming, code pink shaming. They'll use white flower shaming. There's all kinds of them. There's a million different ways to shame a man. Don't buy it. Let it roll off your back. Be a Mgtow monk. Be stoic. And be a man above reproach. It's easy. It's easy. That's what we say. That's all we say. We say that every monk will say that on every single one of his videos. It's so easy and your life will improve tenfold. Just put that urges away. Put all that all you got to do is mentally cut that off. And that's it. And then they no longer control you. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Carly. I agree with you. They have control. You have absolute control over 80% of the men. Because they're simps, because they're beggars, because they're white knights, because they'll never be Mgtow. And probably 50% of the men in here that call themselves Mgtow are just beggars. As soon as they duck that thing, are you dating in a religious fashion? Do you need that? Do you need to talk about that all the time? Do you need to, you go, oh, well, you're not a Mgtow. You're MRA. Go play with the boys. Go play with the MRA boys. The Mgtow boys are serious. The big boys are serious about this. They said, well, I can be both. No, you can't, because you're killing what we're saying. All we're saying is if every man did this for 1 year, the gender battle would be over. But they can't, because they got desire, because they're simps, because they're thirsty, because they're white knights or beggars, and they're not in control of all their facets. And they never could be in control. They're the sheeple. They're the working class. They're the people that always going to be on the bottom, because they're subservient sheep and they want to be under a woman's thumb. They desire that. That's the 80%, 90% of them. I would not. I don't know how many men are bachelors. I'd have to look this year. I haven't looked at that stat yet this year about how many men are bachelors. But even bachelors, that's what they live their life for. They go out every Friday to the bar, buy $160 worth of drinks, try to act like a big shot, tell all the girls that they're world travelers, because of one thing, because they want that split V. And it controls their lives. Women are in control, 100%. 100%. And if they don't think they are, they're stupid. if they don't know that, then someone should tell them, because man, they can wield that sword, and they do wield that sword, and then they giggle about it. Like, look how easy it was to get that guy to do that for me. Look how easy it was to get a guy to buy me a drink at the bar. Look how easy it was to get 100 simps to take me out for free meals in the best restaurants in town. It's like 300 days a year. You hear all those stories, and they go, it's so easy. Simps are so easy. I had a sister-in-law here. Him and my brother were scamsters. They used to sit on Tinder and make up stories. And she used to get guys on Tinder to come around, hundreds of them. And she wasn't very attractive. She was a heavyset woman. And then they'd make up a story about being like stranded in Cincinnati, and then watch the money come flowing in. And then they would go gambling. Or they take a vacation, and they did it all the time. And I would just laugh. I said, yeah, it's a good scam. There's more simps, TFLers, incels that think that the only thing on their mind, and they don't care. They'll send money, and you see it now playing out in the gaming arenas. All those girls have to do is show a little cleavage, and they just get money just throwing on them, 70, 80,000 views per video. Because 80% of the guys out there are simps, and they're controlled. And they can never be Mgtow. They can never be a man. They can never be a man. And they hate it. They hate us. They absolutely hate us when we say that. And that's why we get attacked around here. That's why a lot of my videos get taken down, because they absolutely hate us. There's only one thing that competes with male freedom. That's the urge to get laid. It's the urge to procreate in biological terms. Put that under control and you are free. That's all that Mgtow's saying. Get that under control 100%. Become a monk. It will take a little celibacy. Clear your body out of all those nasty bacteria that you have in there. Go basement, work out, drink some beer, have some fun, play some video games, go out with male friends, have fun and everything. But in a year, I would swear to God that most of the guys would go, this is what it's like? Oh man, I'm going to stay celibate. I'm going to say Mgtow. I'm going to stay away from the girls, because this is great. This is great. But you can't get them to do that. And that's the funny part. That's the odd part. You're offering them freedom. You're offering them like a totally great life. They won't take it. Like, no, I don't want none of that great life. There's people that self-sabotage in this world. I think I did a video a long time about self-sabotagers. And it's an interesting thing when they self-sabotage. Things get too good. They're like, oh man, something's going to go wrong. I'm going to make it. And they will it into existence. Most men are that way. They will will it into existence. They'll will the blue pill farm back on themselves. It's like, man, that's, at least it's what they know. And it's just, man, that feels better if I'm in this strange, and instead of being in this strange Mgtow land when I'm not familiar with. Familiarity breeds what? It breeds idiocracy. Familiarity breeds idiocracy. You get familiar with something, you'll become a sucker. That's what they want. They want familiarity. They want it to be easy on their mind. Mgtow would be too much hard. It'd be too hard work for most men. 80% of them out there are simps. It's just too much work to become a Mgtow. We don't want them around. That's all we're saying. We like our nice space over here where we don't have to hear your blue pill PUA garbage coming around begging for women and asking women to be subservient, because that's stupid, because they're not going to be subservient. They've never been subservient. Just ask any woman. Ask Carly to do this. You have to do this. And she'll do exactly the opposite. Say, I'm not your bitch. I'm not your slave. And it's exactly the answer a man would give you. I'm not your bitch. Don't tell me what to do. Idiocracy. Idiocracy runs our nation. Yeah, it is more work. At one point, you realize that, man, my life is so easy. I'm just gonna go and buy a sandwich at the Subway. I'll come home. I'm gonna throw a couple albums on. I like to spin some albums once in a while. I'm just gonna groove around the house, maybe play some video games. Call up buds. You guys got any beer? You guys got any beer? And they'll be like, yeah, we'll be over in a minute. I got beer. And then you sit around, talk, and throw things at each other and punch each other in the shoulder. It don't get better than that. Call each other names. That's what I do. That's what we do in the garage. That's what we do around here. Throw beer cans at each other and call each other names. And it's great. And I don't worry about that no more. And Mgtow gives me that. Perfect. It's perfect where I don't have no desire for the stupid things in life, making those stupid mistakes, getting married. That'd be ridiculous. I'm going to go get married so I can be a slave again. That would just be perfect. Oh, man, I'd rather live in a cave. I swear to God, I'd rather live in a cave than have that happen again. So that's my video for today. That's my talk. I hope I haven't been too offensive, but I know the way I am, and they don't like it, but they don't have to like it, because it's not going to make me be something else. I'm going to be Mgtow, and I like being Mgtow. It's fine for me. They just can't get none of my utility. They can't get none of my money, and that's what makes them mad, because I'm not a slave for the farm. All roads lead to Mgtows, and once we change our mentality and we all become Mgtow monks for a little bit, we can conquer nations. We can move mountains. We will truly be the masters of this universe again. But until men get that under control, they will be under the thumb of feminists. They will be under, they'll constantly complain about that, because it's not fun being under the thumb. But then they'll go, but I get the split V. It's like, I don't care. I don't care. They're sellouts. They're weak men. They're the kind of men I don't want beside me in a foxhole. They're the kind of men I don't want working next to me, because they can never get that off of their mind, because they're going to hurt somebody in a steel mill. If they're thinking about that, they're going to hurt somebody eventually. If they're thinking about that while they're in a foxhole, they're going to hurt somebody. Whimpering about their girlfriend looking at her picture while you're supposed to be focused. If you're a police officer and you're on a job with a simp, that guy's going to hurt you, because he can't get that off of his mind, and that's his mentality. Because that's all they think about. And that's it. That's my video for today. And I hope you're all having a great day. I just made some tea and I forgot to drink it. I was going to bring it in here and drink it while I was speaking, while I was orating my thoughts. But I forgot. Dougie interrupted me. I'm going to go let him out and drink some tea and go steal a movie. I hope my game comes. I ordered a new game and I just want it to come today, and I know it's not going to come till tomorrow, and and I get to play it for a little bit and be happy for a little bit with it, but that's it. being monk's hard at first, but it gets real easy and it gets real cool. And you start looking at the way and the shape of the world and the idiocracy and the lunacy. And that's what's hardest. You sit back on the Mgtow bench, eat some popcorn, point and laugh, and just thank God you're not going to fall for that again. And that's the message. And thanks a lot for each and one of you coming around. I love each and every one of you. I care for you deeply. I hope your life's good. Getting close to that Christmas time, that's going to be interesting. I'm going to get Chinese buffet on Christmas. If anybody wants to come with me, Steve, you want to meet me at the Chinese buffet shop? It's right by the Steak and Shake. On Christmas, I'll be over there, and me and my buddy, and someone that truly cares for me and wants me to be okay. And that's a hard thing to find in this life, if you have one good friend that truly cares for you. And I hope every male has one good other male friend that truly cares for you in a real masculine sort of way and make sure you're okay. He's going to tell you when you're sick. He's going to tell you when you're working too hard. And that's what Mgtow is about, telling you when you're being an ass, when you're putting yourself in danger. And that's what we all need, is one good Mgtow friend that'll be honest with you instead of lying to you, because that lies is what got you in trouble. And I hope you all have one of those. And if you don't, I'm here and I care. And thanks a lot for coming around. Thanks a lot for listening to me ramble on. And I'll try to make it more than once football season ends. And we got to get Mgtow back in good Mgtow shape, because there's been a lack of quality Mgtow material, and all the guys are simping now. I don't know why. But you guys have a great day, and like always, it's up to each and every one of you to spread the word and be Mgtow. And if that happens, we win, and maybe we can talk about being normal guys again. But until then, it's not for us. There's a battle to be fought. And it's a battle for male freedom. And each and every one of you guys that come around, you're a part of it. And that takes courage. And courage is what I respect. Thanks a lot for being Mgtow. Mgtow.